DCTV 274 production, a channel meant to spread evangelical mission, reflections, church news, interviews on church matters, socio-political issues, and other marriage matters, both young and nice content, all kinds of invitation cards, even movies. DCTV 274 production.
Hi, this is my channel. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. DCTV, the channel for everyone.
There was a report from the Economic Intelligence Unit, and it had forecasted for Nigeria with warnings of substantial political instability risk due to high inflation, low economic growth, and unpopular market reforms. How do you perceive the potential impact of these factors on the country's political landscape, especially considering the administration's current trajectory?
Look, I think it was the chief Alagbe of the APC, Wasiu. He sang, I remember a refrain from a song. He said, "Eh, ti ri nkankan, eh, ti ri nkankan." You ain't seen nothing yet. That's the reality. I don't need an economic think tank to tell me the realities of my objective living in this country. On a daily basis, it's getting progressively worse. The one thing that I believe is left for the conscious, if you have any consciousness of what is good in this country, you have a duty to educate the common man on the street as to the fact that his enemy is not Chinedu, his enemy is not Fakunle, his enemy is not Ahmed. His enemies are the ones who are ruining the country, pretending to be leaders. They are only leading us to disasters. The main reason why I'm saying this is so that the common man does not turn on his brother when he should be looking firmly in the direction of the ruiners of Nigeria, both temporal and spiritual, from the churches to the mosques, to the governors' lodges, to the houses of assemblies, to the National Assembly, to the judicial chambers. You have crooks ruining this country, and they have determined that it is not interest, for that matter, that the Nigerian be emancipated. Poverty has become a real weapon in the hands of those who rule Nigeria. So the Economic Intelligence Unit are only telling us what we know. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. A country where people are stealing more oil than is being declared as produced, where oil producers are stealing their own oil in collusion with our navy. How much oil are they bunkering in the Niger Delta? How much oil are they burning to produce diesel in the creeks? We are not talking about canoes. As long as the underlying issues are not addressed, as long as criminality has been licensed and impunity has become the order of the day, there is nothing anybody needs to say. Eventually, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. At some point, this system is going to grind to a halt. My own singular interest is in making sure that the mass of the people do not turn against themselves, believing that they are their own. No, the real enemies are sat in government offices. The average Nigerian needs to rise up to the fact that they are merely distracting us when they start pointing at religion and ethnicity. Have you noticed that each and every one of those who have gone to the National Assembly, whether they went as Labour Party members or PDP or PUPUPU or APC, they've become one. So the ruling class is one. They have managed to make sure that there is this level of ideological syncretism that has ensured that they've become one. Regardless of their differences, they are one in making sure that the Nigerian is emasculated. When it comes to regulating the social media, you will find that they will unite behind the agenda. Everything that is anti-people, they always unite against it because they have common interest. It is the common man that needs to find his own common interest and common grounds behind which to rally. Our reality is that we have been effectively enslaved by a ruining class that has no sympathy or empathy for the Nigerian. They are not touched by our afflictions. It's almost like they actually take pleasure from our suffering. Think about it. How do you explain that Hajj, that should be your private obligation as a Muslim, has become a burden on the public purse, and you can pay subsidy on Hajj for a select few, but education is no longer available to the poor? It's about enlightened selfish interest. The Nigerian who is the victim has to decide what is in his own enlightened selfish interest and stop listening to the ruiners to tell him who his enemies are.
Now, Mr. Farotimi, we've seen pockets of protests in certain, sections of the country, like in the north, and just recently in Otta, there was this protest also against hunger, against the economic situations. Now, are we foreseeing a further, enlargement, right? Because considering the fact that you're talking about educating the people themselves, and Nigerians themselves are bemoaning their situation at this point in time, and you're painting a gloomy picture that things are even going to get worse. At what point will it get to before Nigerians themselves actually stand up and not confront themselves with it?
I repeat that thing again. You ain't seen nothing yet. Nothing. There is no bottom for the naira. It keeps crashing every day, even for products that are made in Nigeria. A bag of cement today is over 10,000 naira. A bag of cement. Let that sink in, and then let me begin to explain something. You're seeing pockets of protests here and there. I remember saying some years back that the Nigerian revolution will start in northern Nigeria. I stand by what I said at the time. Now, how long it would take before the inevitable would happen, I don't know. But one thing that is clear and glaring is that given the level of weaponized poverty that has been unleashed against the people, is nuclear grade. When you see the number of Nigerians scooping hot food off boiling cauldrons, packing rice with sand, you then begin to have a glimpse, just a mere glimpse into what lies ahead, because it's just starting. And people who are in farm, I used to farm. Well, I've abandoned my farms. I can't go to my farms again. My farms are in Ogun State, but I cannot go to my farms any longer. I know people who had major mechanized farming operations in Niger State. They've left their operation. They abandoned it completely because where they were farming have been taken over by terrorists. So when you are seeing all of these, let me just say, it is easy to predict the harvest when you see the seed. The seed that have been planted, I've made it clear that a deadlock is inevitable. You have a government that is lacking in legitimacy. You have a judiciary that is lacking in credibility. You have a legislative house that is generally peopled by idiots, imbeciles, and crooks. And then you have a people against whom hunger has been weaponized. Yorubas have a proverb. They say, Tebiba wonu, oromi okin wo. When you translate that properly, what it actually says is that rationality ends where hunger begins. When you now have hunger unleashed against a wide swath of the population, what you will find eventually are gridlocks and chaos. My own preoccupation is to ensure that the Nigerian understand exactly who to blame for what is going on, so that he doesn't turn against his fellow victim. It is possible that you might have military adventurists coming in to cash in on the popular disaffection. But even those would inevitably be proxies and members of this ruining class. The reality is that we are gradually entering an unsustainable cycle where there is bound to be a gridlock. I am careful about what I speak to these days. That's why I've been largely quiet for some time, because I do not want to stand accused of being the one who incited a riot. I'm not interested in riots. Protests do not interest me. I am interested in a revolution that sweeps away this decadent order and hold it and every one of them to account. Let them account for the humongous stealings. Let them account for the evils they have done against the people. That interests me. Pockets of protest here and there, yeah. But they are merely, you know, when it's going to rain, you see flashes of lightning. You hear rumbles of thunder. There might even be a few scattered showers here and there. But there is a deluge coming. What will catalyze it? I have no idea.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.
This is TV 274 production, a channel meant to spread evangelical mission, reflections, church news, interviews on church matters, socio-political issues, and other marriage matters, both young and nice content, all kinds of invitation cards, even movies. This is TV 274 production.